parte, a partir de ese momento, esos caminos han sido decisivos para el tratamiento de Cuba en los medios de difusión masiva.
So there's two routes. The first one being, the second one being at least the use of the propaganda, use of imperialist propaganda, and the first one being the importance of those kinds of surprise attacks have been the two key strategies used over more than 50 years towards the Cuban Revolution.
Por un lado, la agresión ha continuado, lo que por muy diferentes vías, y por otro lado, los medios han construido una Cuba que nada tiene que ver con la Cuba real.
So that aggression, that aggressiveness has continued over more than 50 years in various means, not always military means, but by various means. And secondly, the way that Cuba has been invented by the imperialist press over more than 50 years continues to this day.
Es por eso que hoy existe en cada país del mundo una idea de Cuba no solamente muy diferente de lo que es en la realidad, sino muy diferente de un país a otro, lo que a la larga dificulta la comunicación entre los pueblos de esos países y el pueblo cubano.
And the result of that war of propaganda means not only that the vision from outside Cuba of what Cuba is like is very different from the Cuban reality, but also that there are many different visions, all of them mythified, all of them myths, which makes it very difficult to have a coherent understanding of what Cuba is really like.
Esa guerra implica también, o ha implicado también, una estrategia dirigida en comunicar a Cuba o a aislar a Cuba de diferentes países de Latinoamérica y del mundo, porque en la realidad lo que se está combatiendo no es que en Cuba exista un sistema diferente, sino que lo que se está combatiendo es la capacidad o la connotación simbólica que esa diferencia implica.
In other words, by fragmenting those perspectives towards Cuba, by making it so difficult to have a unified understanding of what's really happening in Cuba, it's made it very difficult for there to be any sense of communication and exchange between Cuba and even other countries in Latin America. And the result of that campaign of propaganda has been that Cuba is seen as being unique, and Jacomino is saying that Cuba's situation is not unique, its approach is not unique, but it has become symbolically unique within the world, and it really shouldn't be seen in such a way.
Han pasado 50 años, han pasado, la izquierda latinoamericana ha tenido momentos de esplendor, tuvo luego un momento bastante difícil, y este momento es otra vez de un cierto esplendor de la izquierda latinoamericana, y en ese contexto Cuba se ha propuesto un proceso de profundización en la manera de conducir los destinos del país.
And so over those more than 50 years, Latin America has passed through moments of real left-wing hope for the continent. It's also passed after that to moments of real despair and very, very extreme right-wing governments in Latin America. At the moment, many parts of Latin America, as you will all know, are regaining that sense of hope and expectation in a left-wing system across the continent. And in that particular context, in contemporary Latin America, Cuba is playing a very important role in terms of developing and making more profound, more deep, more significant and more meaningful what the nature of that left-wing revolution in Latin America is going to be.
Hay que decir que esta profundización está motivada sobre todo por el nuevo tipo de relación que tiene que establecer Cuba con el mundo a partir de la disolución o de la desaparición de lo que se llamó el campo socialista. O sea, los países que hasta 1989 constituyeron una alianza y de algún modo un contrapeso al empuje de Norteamérica.
And so if we compare what's happening now and the way that Cuba is developing its own understanding of revolution through left-wing governments and phenomena across the region to what happened in 1989 and what happened after that, Cuba's former relationship with the old socialist bloc, Jacomino is saying that Cuba has now had to develop a very different understanding in the contemporary context of how to understand its own revolution and understand how revolution is going to work in other parts of the world.
Después de una década muy dura, como fue la década del 90, donde se imponía la lucha por la sobrevida como nación y también a nivel individual, entramos a la primera década del siglo XXI, de algún modo pagando los costos políticos y los costos a nivel de percepción de la sociedad que implicó esa etapa de los duros años 90.
Okay, so from 1989 onwards, looking at the 1990s, which many of you will know were a very, very difficult time for Cuba, not just in terms of the survival of the revolution and the survival of the nation, but in terms of individual survival at a very basic level. Cuba, in the first decade of the new millennium, in some senses, Jacomino is saying, had to pay the costs of that political crisis, that political rupture of the 1990s, where many things were brought into question and there was a great level of doubt and questioning of the revolutionary project. And in the 2000s, it was a question of rebuilding that context of revolution under very, very different circumstances.
Hoy, frente a un mundo en crisis, con los precios de los alimentos y de los hidrocarburos elevándose cada vez más, Cuba está obligada a tener un nivel de eficiencia en su economía que nuestro modelo no ha alcanzado hasta el momento.
And in the present day situation that we live in across the world, with the rises in prices that we're seeing, with the recessions, the global recession we're seeing across the world, with the rising price of fuels of all kinds across the world, and the increasing scarcity of fuel across the world, Cuba is now having to put into practice an efficient way of running its economy in a way that it hadn't had to confront in the past.
Y estamos obligados, o nuestro Estado está consciente de que eso debe ser así. Nosotros no podemos adoptar en Cuba, si queremos ser coherentes con lo que ha sido la revolución, tenemos que adoptar esas medidas sin renunciar a las prestaciones sociales, sin renunciar a lo que nosotros llamamos las conquistas sociales que ha traído o que ha significado la revolución.
And so specifically now, if we are going to be, as Cubans, if we're going to be coherent with what we would like our revolution to be and what our revolution has been, we must enter that period of economic efficiency without turning our back on the contribution that the revolution makes in terms of social support, in terms of education, health, in terms of creating social networks and creating and sustaining social communities. So it's a very difficult challenge to maintain that at the same time as maintaining economic efficiency.
Todo esto se hace en medio de una gran presión internacional y también se hace en medio de una coyuntura interna muy compleja, porque hay existe un gran interés por la población cubana de que se eleve el nivel de vida, de que existan cada vez mejores condiciones para desarrollarse en Cuba, pero que eso no comprometa las conquistas a nivel de derechos fundamentales que tiene el cubano que vive en Cuba.
And the picture is complicated by the fact that Cuba also has to function within an international context and the international pressures that are starting to emerge. But not only that, Jacomino is saying that the greatest challenge seems to be that the Cuban people are, after having experienced the crisis of the 1990s and having recovered and survived that crisis in the early years of the 2000s, are now very anxious for economic improvement, economic benefits. They're very anxious to see the standard of living rise radically at a very basic level, and that's creating certain tensions and certain frustrations within the nation, and it's a very difficult challenge for the government to try and meet those needs, meet those demands in the context of a global recession.
Hay que decir que el pueblo cubano es un pueblo muy inconforme y que lo expresa constantemente y por todas las vías, y que uno de los principales errores que ha cometido el gobierno de los Estados Unidos es confundir inconformidad con oposición.
Okay, let me see if I can get the distinction here. Jacomino is making a very important point, saying one of the things that characterizes the Cuban people is their inconformidad. In other words, their right to disagree, their right to debate, their right to develop their own ideas. And one of the greatest mistakes that the US government has made is to confuse that right to disagree, that right to create and develop their own ideas with dissidence.
Realmente no se puede hablar en Cuba de una oposición real al gobierno. No existe en absoluto una sola institución que tenga la más mínima autoridad ante el pueblo de Cuba como opositora de la revolución.
There isn't in Cuba a single institution that has any authority whatsoever to oppose the wishes of the people of Cuba.
Se podría decir que es porque la represión lo impide, pero en todo caso, el que se le ocurra en Cuba salir a la calle hablando en contra de la revolución como un grupo supuestamente auténtico, puede ser que tenga represión, pero no de las autoridades, no de la policía, sino de la gente, de las comunidades, que en definitiva pueden estar en desacuerdo con muchas cosas de las que suceden en Cuba, pero básicamente, radicalmente, están de acuerdo con que en Cuba la revolución en el poder es consubstancial a la nación misma. O sea, una vez que perdamos el poder, como dijo Fidel en el año 61, esa revolución de los humildes, con los humildes y para los humildes, o sea, una vez que perdamos ese poder, caeríamos en un vacío donde no seríamos donde no tendríamos dominio ya de lo que pueda pasar en el país.
Okay, his sentences are getting longer, but I'm going to try. So, a ver. As Fidel said in 1961, this is a revolution of the people, by the people, for the people. And that continues to this day. And people may argue from the outside, and again going back to the idea of imperialist propaganda, people might argue that there are no opposition groups, institutional groups of opposition that have a voice or have any authority in Cuba because precisely they are repressed by the Cuban government. Jacomino is saying it's not that they're repressed by the Cuban government, because nor does the government have the right to repress them. If there is any opposition to those opposition groups and the idea of dissidence, it comes from the people themselves, because this really still continues to be a revolution of the people, which allows for that sense of inconformidad, for people to disagree. That's what it's about. It's about debate, it's about disagreement.